Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. Before we talk about Andor, we have a huge follow-up to yesterday's big story. I covered the breaking news that Damon Lindelof's Star Wars movie now has a director, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, and now my dear friends, some more information has emerged about the movie, notably that it's going to be set after the events of the Rise of Skywalker, but it's not going to be part of the main Star Wars saga. It's not episode 10, it's a standalone, despite the fact that Sequel Trilogy characters are rumoured to appear. Now this is pretty huge, because it means that Kathleen Kennedy's words of wanting to move away from the main saga might be coming to fruition, at least to an extent. As I say, this movie is not going to be part of a trilogy and will not directly connect episode 9, despite having the landscape of a post-Rise of Skywalker galaxy following the Battle of Exegol. Now I do just want to address something I said in Monday's video. I said that this would probably be another project that never makes it to screen, and that it's just another Star Wars movie that's been announced without any plan. Well, I may have spoken too soon, guys, because after talking with Jason at Making Star Wars, he's pretty adamant this movie is the exception. In fact, it seems like this is the one Lucasfilm movie that they're actually taking seriously. Deadline and The Hollywood Reporter, who first revealed this information, both said that this movie is, quote, one of Hollywood's biggest secrets, and it's apparently a priority for the studio. Making Star Wars say that their sources told them this one is definitely going ahead and has been mapped out for a while. They already know what they want to achieve with the film, and Lindelof is working on a script. The only way it doesn't go ahead is, of course, if Lucasfilm have creative differences, in which case they're either going to ask him to rewrite another script, or the alternative, like with Patty Jenkins, cut ties. Now, a new report from The Hollywood Reporter unveils that Justin Britt Gibson is co-writing the movie, and that the film is going to bring back characters from the sequels. They don't specify if it's the main cast, that is Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac and so on, or if it's supporting characters. All they say is that according to their sources, the story takes place after the events of 2019's Rise of Skywalker, but it's not a continuation, and it doesn't tie in any way into the main saga. But to some people's minds there's a contradiction, because if they are including sequel characters, how could it not tie into the Rise of Skywalker? It could be brand new adventures with Finn, Rey, Poe, and so on. Another thing to point out about this article is the continuous use of the word secret or secretive. They say secret writer's room, secret plot, secret project, and I suppose the good news in all of that is that Lucasfilm are taking this one very seriously. Let's wait and see what happens, guys, but there's a good chance instead of Taika's movie, this is the one that releases first, but again, probably not for another few years. So now my dear friends, let's talk about Andor. Tomorrow is Tales of the Jedi and Andor episode 8, and concerning the latter, the start of the next 3 episode story arc of the season. Episode 7 announcement served as a standalone according to Tony Gilroy, setting up Cassian's prison story. I've spoken in previous videos of how that might go down, as well as his escape, and how the prisoners that he's going to meet are working on Death Star parts, which is going to connect to Star Wars Rebels, Saw Gerrera and Rogue One. But there is one character in particular who I really want to talk about, Clea Markey, Luthen's devoted assistant and a rebel partisan who told Vel that she needs to kill Cassian. According to Clea, Luthen considers Andor to be a loose end, and he doesn't want him running around the galaxy knowing about what Luthen and the early rebels are up to. But there's definitely something a bit off about Clea, and I know I'm not the only one who's noticed. Not only is she pretty cold and ruthless, but her motives are questionable. In the scene where she meets Vel on Coruscant, Vel repeatedly says that she expected Luthen to be there. She really did, but it was only Clea instead. This has led some fans to wonder if Luthen really did put a hit on Andor's head, or if Clea is lying and it's her own motive to want Cassian dead. Now personally guys, I'm in two minds over this. A part of me thinks that she's just naturally a bit more cold and aggressive, a rebel like Saw Gerrera's partisans, and she's just acting out what Luthen told her to do. In other words, there's nothing out of the ordinary, it's just her nature. But another part of me questions her allegiance to the rebel cause, and more specifically to Luthen. Yesterday we spoke about how Supervisor Young might be a rebel spy himself, as the most recent teaser trailer put out by Disney Plus shows him in civilian clothing, speaking to Luthen. And in light of this, could there be other plans for both sides, operating on a false basis? As I say though, I'm very doubtful Clea is Imperial, but it wouldn't surprise me if that ended up being the plot twist. She's an awesome character nonetheless, and last night, Disney Plus released a new character poster for her. Just look at her, she's magnificent, and probably way more important to the story than we realise. As an agent of Luthen, she is certainly one of the more ballsy partisans we've come across. Something else to note that might rule out the theory that she has any ulterior motives is that with the new character poster, Disney Plus describes her as, quote, emissary, messenger, and enforcer. Enforcer being the keyword, which explains her aggressive approach. So it's in her nature and job description, but still, we'll keep an eye on how her story plays out. Now, speaking of what Claire said to Vel, a couple of the trailers show us that Vel is eventually going to end up on Ferrix looking for Andor, but I don't think she has the heart to go through with it. I mean, of course we know Cassian survives, but relating to Vel is just not in her nature, and after the events of Aldhani, she'd probably be more interested in recruiting Cassian as part of the rebel cause. Having seen his potential and what he's capable of, she sees that he's a true asset to the rebellion. Of course, for now though, after being arrested and sentenced on Nyamos, he's going to spend some time in prison before breaking out. But going into episode 8, the most exciting aspect of the show for me is Mon Mothma. That intense scene where she hints at what she's up to an old childhood friend from Chandrila was awesome, and she opened up the possibility of seeing Mas Amedda in this show, maybe even Granddaddy Palps himself, before the season is out. She won't leave the Imperial Senate until season 2 though, but for the remainder of the season, it'll all be about playing her cards right and being very sneaky with the funding that she seeks. But as we saw in episode 7, and as we'll come to see in Star Wars Rebels, her definition of rebellion very much differs to that of Luthen and Saw Gerrera, and they're two very different ideologies. She is just not willing to let innocent people die. She doesn't want to use military tactics to put a stick in the eye of the Empire, and over these last couple of episodes, we've really seen her character flourish. Her story arc is much more captivating than I think a lot of fans expected. But the great thing about this show is it throws so many surprises our way. We never really can tell with certainty where it's going, and the same applies to Cyril Khan. The other day I released an entire video breaking down his character, his family, and his mysterious Uncle Harlow. Go and check that out if you haven't done so, guys. But I'm super excited because tomorrow we're getting a double installment of Star Wars. We have Andor and of course Tales of the Jedi. We have some new stills for the show, as well as Yaddle vs Count Dooku's duel. Now, major spoiler warning, it's expected that Yaddle is gonna die in this scene. They're explaining why she didn't appear in Attack of the Clones and beyond. She died at the hands of Dooku when she finds out what's going on Geonosis. And by the way, Yaddle in animation looks absolutely amazing. I just wish there were more canon stories with her. And in case you haven't heard, guys, Bryce Dallas Howard is rumoured to be voicing her. So tomorrow is a very busy day for Star Wars, a really awesome day, and I can't wait to break down both series. So if you've not done so already, guys, please be sure to hit that big red subscribe button down below, and also be sure to give that bell a good old tickle to be alerted every time that I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. May the Force be with you, always.